it is a dangerous job on the highway.
One that can turn deadly for tow truck drivers. They can spend minutes or hours on the side of the road doing their job, helping you. As a result, hundreds of cars and trucks will go speeding by, many ignoring Scott's Law. We spoke to a co-owner of Feldkamp's Towing about how he stays safe and tries to make sure his employees are prepared when they hit the road.
I love doing this. I love helping people, and I like getting people out of situations.
Taylor Feldkamp, the co-owner of Feldkamp's Towing in Urbana, has been driving for 15 years.
We probably do between 25 and 35 small cars, trucks, SUVs. We probably do between 2 and 6 semis every day. Being on the interstate, we've had cars spin out next to us and clip cars that were pulling out of the ditch.
But in the 30 years the company's been in business, neither a truck nor an employee has been hit.
I've had lots of other tow companies that are friends of mine that are in other areas, and their trucks have been hit and operators have been hit as well, and just for people not, paying attention. It's definitely a dangerous job, and then in the wintertime it's even worse.
Feldkamp says there are some situations when he won't immediately tow a car.
In the wintertime, if it's 5 o'clock traffic, most of the time we won't pull your car and you out of the ditch if you're on the interstate. So we'll go out and get you and your family off the interstate safely, take you home. You give us the keys, we'll bring your car back to you.
But when it's time to set up a tow, there's an abundance of safety equipment available.
We supply everybody with uniforms that's, high vis, but we bought lights that you can put on the ground before you get to the accident that flash.
When they know they'll be at a wreck for hours, there's a trailer full of supplies.
We put these signs up on the interstate, mile or 2 miles before the accident. Accident ahead. We have slow down, move over, emergency scene ahead, signs here out on the interstate. We're actually walking down the interstate, pushing this cart, and we're setting cones out to be able to get everybody to shut down to one lane, or we have barricades.
They also have oil, dry, and a fuel system, among other tools.
Got a generator on it, air compressor, all the cones, all the tools you'll ever need to, get in and get out. But we try to do as much as we possibly can do to be seen, but you can do that all day. It's up to the people to slow down and move over and, and give us a break.
Feldkamp says drivers need to put themselves in the shoes of tow truck operators.
I would look at it as maybe if your car ever broke down on the interstate and you got out and opened up the hood and, you're just thinking it's a great day and my car overheated, and the next thing you know, you feel 2 semis blazing by you 70 miles an hour. That's what it feels like for 40 minutes, not just 2 minutes while you open up your hood and then get back in the car and then call a tow truck.
He says everyone has a family to go home to.
I have a little one myself, and I don't know what he would do or what I would do, as far as getting hit and being injured where I couldn't do things with them, and that's family's everything.
During our story with Taylor Feldkamp, we parked on the shoulder of I-74 with the tow truck's lights flashing to see how well drivers adhered to Scott's Law. In less than 20 minutes, parked on eastbound I-74 east of the I-57 interchange, we were passed by nearly 100 vehicles that didn't move over. In fairness, some of those vehicles could not move over because there was a driver immediately to their left. But here's a breakdown of what we saw. 20 semis, 68 cars, trucks, or vans, and 2 school buses. Feldkamp thinks the violations have a correlation to the color of the lights.
But when you see yellow lights, people are like, it's not breaking a law. I'll just go right by them.
Tow truck warning lights in the majority of states are white, amber, or yellow. But Feldkamp says some of his peers in other states are allowed to use red and or blue lights during a tow. For example, in Kansas, a tow truck is a designated emergency vehicle when responding to an emergency. And in those situations, only can use red and or blue lights. Red lights are allowed in Louisiana, Minnesota, Montana, New Hampshire, Oregon, South Carolina, Utah, Washington, and Wisconsin. Red and blue lights can be used in Missouri if the tow truck is owned by a public utility, in Nebraska with a permit, and in Oklahoma.
And the next thing that came out of her mouth is really what startled me is she said, I don't want you to go up there because what happens if you get hit?
Still ahead, we sit down with Trooper Tracy to talk about the personal side of being state police. But first,
I would say that we've probably been mentioning it more.
when it comes to getting your license in Illinois, do you know how much time you have to spend on the highway? The answer might surprise you. We have it next.